Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. Super short video to let you know that I'm looking at changing the way that I bind the book of backgrounds, and I'm doing this early enough because we've really only covered 2 background pages, so just in case you want to change it up as well. So initially I wanted to create the book of backgrounds with folded pieces here, individual, and then I used an awl and I punched holes, and I was going to show the actual binding at the very end, which is really time consuming, but it does end up making a really nice book. The problem with that though is as we start working through the piece, when you start creating your artwork, first of all, bound like this, you can't use a lot of embellishments because then the book won't stay flat. The other thing is that if you create something that you really like, and you create artwork on the back that you really like, what do you do with it? Okay, so the idea that I had was doing a single-sided book of backgrounds. The book of backgrounds that I've been doing previously have always been double-sided. And I've gotten enough emails from everybody saying, why don't you do them single-sided? That way you can frame the artwork. Because I would always use those for just studies when actually creating the artwork on the book of backgrounds as studies and then recreating the formal art. But I'm focusing more now on teaching instead of creating formal art. So the other idea is that we just simply punch it. So you can do it this way, and I just use eyelets, and it's up to you. Like, I love eyelets in my pieces, so this will work for me. You may not like it, so you may want to go to something like this. And the other thing you can do is if you want to stick with it like this, just create the art on one side. Don't do anything on the back side. That way, when you're ready to create art on it, if you really like it, you can always cut it out. So there you go. So this is just an example of what you can do with it just by punching it and using eyelets. And you can get these, I got these at Staples, but you can get these really anywhere. And you can get smaller ones here. The small ones are a bit tight because these end up being quite thick, because these, I was using these for demonstrations on crackling paste and all that stuff. So they don't turn very well on the small ones, but the big ones are too big. Ideally, if you can find if you're doing this on full size, use a binder, like a really big binder, to put your pages in, or just use the rings, and you can just, initially it's kind of clunky, and then always move it around. And I would love to find an actual nice tutorial on making a DIY binder using rings instead of buying one. So something like that. There are tutorials out there, and then these will allow you to expand. 3 is a bit bulky, and the other thing too is that if once you get a lot out there, you can create an actual display piece. You have to be precise on the punching with this, because if your eyelets are off, then they won't go on the ring properly. Now the measurements that I have for the eyelets, so on an ATC sized, I've used a, what is this? This is We Are Memory Keepers. I don't know. It's just one of these things. And I have it at the 1/8 inch. Let's see, the 1/8, no, I think 1/4. I think it's about the 1/4 in. And that way I use that as a template. And then the measurement from the outside is, I measured 1/16 of an inch on the outside. You can also measure 1/2 inch from the outside. And then right in the middle is 1 3/4. And then I just used, standard eyelets. And all these eyelets I found at Princess Auto really cheap. I mean, I don't know if you can find them at the dollar store, but, and then some nice black ones. But so that's this. So I'm going to be showing both as we go through, but like I was doing this one and I realized I love this and I love this, but now it's on the inside of the cover. So what do I do? Like, I have to give one up if I want to create art on this. Again, you can't do anything too thick because they won't stay closed. This I think is a little bit more forgiving. But again, you can just do it with one. And if you don't have rings, use a piece of string or a piece of cord or something like that and just bind it that way. And that way, when you're ready to, if you want to take a piece out to do some artwork on it, you just unclip it, take it out. It's easier for just the one, and create your artwork. And then the eyelets become part of the art. And as long as when you're creating the art, you don't cover these up, you can put them back into the ring or just leave it the way it is. All right, so that's it, you guys. I just want to share with you the video on an alternative way to bind the book of backgrounds. Like I said, when we're done, the whole piece, the book of backgrounds 2021, I am going to show the binding for if you want to keep it like this, maybe for keep it for yourself. I am going to show the binding for this, but I'm probably going to be sticking with this type of method, and I'm going to be just. If you guys have any, if you know of any good tutorials on making a binder, that way if these stay still, if they stay stuck, that way then these will turn much better. The problem with them turning is when these go all loosey-goosey and it's too hard to flip the pages. So if you can let me know any tutorial, but if you're working this on standard sized cardstock, like a letter size, and just use a regular hole punch, then you'll be fine. But I'm just doing these nice and small because I've never done a book of backgrounds this small. So that's my challenge for 2021. Alrighty, so choose whichever way you want to do it. And until I see you in the next lesson, stay inspired.